Hello, fellow travelers. This is Veronica from Human Design Journey, and I'm gonna look at the forecast for 2023. So, welcome to the new rave year. Here was the momentum picture, which happened on the 22nd of January at 9:38 a.m. last Sunday. And this is when the new rave year came. The sun came into the 41st gate. And it is the gate of the new beginnings. This is the gate of decrease, the gate of contraction, the limitation of resources, which maximizes development of potential. And in the first line, reasonableness, the appropriate delegation of responsibility, the imagination to make the very best out of the very little. Coolness, where energy to release feelings is selective. And the detriment, a tendency in understanding to assume capability leading to strain. The hothead to urge, the urge to release feelings. So this is where we have in the 41st gate, the first line, first tone, bass, and in color are in the first line, and this is the start of the new rave year. And as you saw, when everybody thinks that it's the beginning of the year and the end of the old year, which is on the 31st of December, it is actually the steps towards the end. So the 38, the 54, the 61, the 60th gate are the 4 steps for the end of the cycle. And you can see that in my previous video. If you want to look at the steps towards the end, which actually are the steps for retrospection of the 38th gate, what was it worth the fight that I went through this year? Was it all worth it? Does my life have the meaning that makes me go on? Something like that. Then we have the 54th gate, which is open the theme of who supported me on the material plane this year, who was there, who helped me advance on the social ladder, and specifically on the material plane with it's a tribal gate, so also the gate of ambition, and exactly climbing the ladder, the marrying maiden, the gate of the drive. So then we went through the 61st gate, which is the inner truth and the gate of mystery. Opening the questions, was it my inner truth what I went through? Did it really correspond to what is inspiring to me? Did I do the things which were inspiring to me this year? And then 60th gate, the most mutative, the gate of limitation, the gate of acceptance. The acceptance of limitation is the first step in transcendence. And the 60th gate started the questions of what was that I couldn't, what limited me this year, and what it's about looking back at the whole year and just without judgment being able to let go of it. Because the first step to really go over any limitation is to accept the limitation, and that's the first step to transcendence. To let it integrate, because the mutation happens when you're not watching in the pause between the visible and invisible. It's a pulse mechanism. It's a part of the channel, the format channel of mutation. It is the format for the new, for the individual, for it's the a design of energy which initiates and fluctuates in a pulse, part of the channel of mutation. So those are the steps towards the end of the year, starting the questions of like, am I able to let it go so I can free space for the new? And now on after those 3 weeks of retrospection, where everything went slow and it's a very heavy energy, now since the 22nd of January, everything is starting anew, getting into the 41st hexagram, which is the gate of dreaming as well, part of the stream of feeling. And we have the energy to feel or not, where we have all the feelings, and basically we have to choose one. That's the meaning of the contraction, of limitation of resources which maximize the development of potential. Here we have the image of the gardener who is pruning his garden to cut back that extra growth so that the life juice of the plant goes back to its roots to survive the winter, to survive the limitation, and to contract, choose one dream to survive. And then in spring, when the conditions are favorable, the juices again will float back to the branches and will make the new come through. So the 41st gate is the only initiator start codon, and it attests to the importance of the sensing circuit and the stream of feeling in particular. It has the potential to recognize, and the recognition is through feelings. It fuels the gates of the fates, the gate of the fates in the emotional center. So we have here the focus of this stream of feelings is to recognize, to judge in an abstract way through a single feeling. If you dream of everything at the same time, you cannot concentrate and focus your energy on one thing which will help you persevere and actually get on the other side and get the fates to help you happen, maybe, or not. So here the judgment is conditioned by the frequency of the wave. So it is about recognizing that the wave needs time. It's never immediate. It is always a process. And patience is the great virtue of the emotionally defined channels. And here we have a projector year, basically, which is about recognition, invitation, emotional clarity before acting. And the 41st gate, part of the channel of recognition, having the 30th on the other side, is fueling emotionality, feelings. And being an abstract gate, it's about also sharing this process with the other. It's the channel of recognition links the root through the 41st, the gate of decrease, to the 30th, the gate of clinging fire in the emotional center. So here we have sharing, abstract, sensing, experiential way. It is the pressure to imagine what could be. And it heats up that pressure in the emotional center. The fuel is, and the result with this emotionality is an intense need to get in motion towards some experience. Then we will continue in the stream of feelings with the channel of transitoriness, jack of all trades. It's about going through the whole process, being able to completely dive while it's happening, and then when it's finished from the distance of time, you can eventually get to make sense out of the whole thing, to recognize what the whole trip was about, what the whole experience was about. So it's a bit like hot air combining with low pressure air and area, and you have a vortex. The center is hollow, but it fuels the energy, and it's the pressure to experience something, usually something emotional. It's about feelings. So it's a strong pressure being recognized by an intense feeling. And this ultimately leads to the ability to leap from the lack of experience into experience running full speed. And the thing is to recognize which emotion, being clear which feeling you want to concentrate on, which dream to go after. And here it's about more or less all the three channels between the root and emotional center. It's about spirituality in a way. We have the 1949 part of the mystical way. Let me just put the pointer. So part of the auditive circuit, the mystical way. So here we have the emotional center becoming a center of awareness. We know that right now there is a mutation going on here. We have the most primal center of awareness, which helps us survive with intuition and instinctively. We have the awareness center of the strategizing how to survive, how to be on the top of the pyramid. Here we have also anxiety and awareness in all time. This is in the now. And we have the emotional awareness, which is about the emotional wave. Riding that wave into clarity. And this is changing because when this center becomes, right now it's more a motor than awareness center. That's why it needs time until you process the whole wave emotionality coming from that super strong motor, becoming a center of awareness. There'll be some cooling effect there. Being able in your emotional communication happen on a level beyond maybe beyond the mental awareness and beyond the body awareness. Here we will have emotional awareness, and we actually don't know how this is going to look like. It's about the new kind, which is coming. It's called the rave. So out of us humans will come the raves, which are a mutation we're developing. And the raves will be, will have emotional awareness. Yeah, we don't know exactly how that's going to play out. Anyways, right now, we have here the channel of recognition, which is also, in a way, excuse me, the universal forces that are recognized differently amongst different tribes. We have the gate of the fates here. So on one hand, and then we have the mystical way about, which is about the tribe. It's a tribal part of the tribal circuit, and it's about sensitivity, being sensitive to the tribe, and the mystical way will be connected to the same religion, to the same belief system, to the same morals, judgment, cultural, and etc. conditioning. So it's going to be a very spiritual, in a way, year, which will help us in, maybe if it is for us, if it's correct for us, but the whole world will be functioning on that background frequency, with that background frequency of maybe expanding, or definitely the theme of mysticism on one hand, even it could be religious, and all our beliefs could be put to the test. And on the other hand, here we also have the common universal forces recognized amongst the different tribes, everybody having their own pagan, usually pagan beliefs, and superstitions, which usually are found in the stories of and legends of the people. We can see it in the mythology, usually. So all of this is going to be a theme this year. And as we said, it's an emotional, adrenalized emotional energy for feeling. And being a projector year, it's about waiting to be recognized, invited before you jump into things. While in the not self, you know, emotionality usually is wanting to be spontaneous and to jump to things on your high end of the wave or on your down and without any clarity, and then it becomes chaos. So when we know that 50% of the people on the planet are open emotionally, they with their open center, they exaggerate and dramatize, um, skew things, make it through totally can be exaggerated and strange lens and point of view, which can have absolutely no connection to reality. So riding that chaos and knowing that the other half of humanity is actually emotional, riding their own emotional wave, not waiting for clarity, bringing more chaos to the world, it will be quite a ride this year. And there will be people who can use emotions to their benefit, and not only people, but and we will see further on when I continue through the planets. But our leaders and structures, communicators, PR people, marketing people, they all can use that, because this whole world is about selling emotions. When you're selling advertisement, you're reaching to the emotions of the people. Whatever the thematic is, it's about triggering some emotion. And here is going to be adrenalized emotional insanity, probably in the not self. So the 4130, the channel of recognition, it's a strong pressure being recognized by intense feeling. And this ultimately leads to the ability to leap from lack of experience into a lot of experience, and being there, done that, recognize an emotion that can be shared later, that can be, it's part of the sensing circuit. So you're, it's about going through something and being able afterwards to sense it, to see what it was all about. So the new experience allows us to recognize an emotion which afterwards can be shared as an experience. One thing at a time is the mantra here. And then we have the 1949, which is the channel of synthesis, part of the a design of being sensitive, part of the tribal circuitry, the ego circuitry, linking the root center through the 19th gate of approach to the 49th, the gate of revolution in the emotional center, also the gate of rejection. So there will be a lot of rejection going on, and we can see this is in Venus, activated by Venus, the values and relating. So when the values and the principles, is the gate of principles, will not be met this year, we will see it a little bit further, there is a possibility for revolution. Although this is in the sixth line, so they would really involve only if they recognize that there will be support for the revolution, or that there is a true benefit and real possibility to make a change. They will involve. Otherwise, they will stay on the roof, disengaged, not involved, just watching. So we have the 49th gate in Venus, and we have the 19th gate as our driving force and focus of the mind. In the first line, detriment, so it would be introspection, it would be investigation, investigating needs and interdependence. So the channel of synthesis, it's the emotional side where we leave the realm of the money and enter the realm of belonging. Because if we look at the ego center, like communist part and capitalist part, all three other gates, here we have the communist part. So here we work for recognition. It's a projector channel for we work for the tribe, for what cannot be paid with money, for love and support and togetherness, being a member, belonging, touch, to be tapped on the shoulder, to be hugged, to be loved, to be appreciated, to be cherished, to be to belong, to your life depends on your tribe. Here is the Cosa Nostra, it's the familia. It's part of the stream of physical sensitivity in the tribal ego circuitry. The 1949 negotiates the world through the sense of touch, bringing people together, deciding who's in and who's out, who gets what. It's also a gate of distribution of resources. The 1490 decides who gets what resources, how to fill the fridge of the 19th, the need of the 19th. And it is also very sensitive to its own position here, wanting to be needed, to give support, and needing to be wanted, to be supported. It's part of the tribal circuitry, so it's very sticky. Keyword support, where we look at the channel from this perspective, and it's a projected channel waiting to be invited. It's the critical first step to clarity, if you want. Knowing, how does this make me feel? Being patient, waiting out that wave, riding it to clarity, and not taking decision before that. Over time, and being invited is critical, because there is no truth in the now. And the pressure of the 19th to be connected can draw into a feeling of an association of joy and achievement, when you're it pressures and the possibility to get the need actually met. And then it will give us satisfaction. But if it's not met and there is a rejection, it can be very sensitive to that rejection of self and of others. So territory, love, beliefs, tribal support, following tribal belief system and moral values and principles, and if you want the same religion, the same God that you bow to, And if you're not following that, you can be expelled from the tribe, not get their support. Food, shelter, territory, the protection of the young, all of that is here. And we can be very sensitive when rejected and uh, expelled and not supported by the tribe. So those themes will be very much alive this year. And we already saw the geopolitics happening the past year, and redistribute, and not only the past year, but the past years, redistribution of resources, redistribution of power, and some precedents happening in modern times. This pandemic, all of that on the back frequency of changing, of big change going on. Here we have also, especially in this channel, a mutation going on, and this channel is breaking down. And this is also a channel which connects, it's a interspecies channel, connecting the humans to the mammals. And it's the connection of us feeding them, protecting them for exchange of food, eating some of them. And this is breaking down. The new mutated human, the raves, they will not be able at all to digest meat. So, and we can see it in the world, this vegetarian, vegan movement. Of course, it's not always correct. So it's always about the strategy and authority, because that it's in the background frequency doesn't mean it's correct for you to be vegetarian. Or usually people who carry this, the 49 gate, the gate of the butcher, as well. It can be people who digest well meat, and it's good for them, but the rays will not be able to digest meat at all. So it's preparing us in a way this year for this mutation which is going on in the solar plexus, and this breaking of this bond. But also it's a lot of it's very territorial, as I mentioned. So these will be territorial, maybe redistribution struggles, or I don't know how it will play out. Let's see. And I am not here to hope, but let's hope that, because I don't know what I personally can do, but that we learn something from history, maybe. Or although history shows that we didn't learn anything from history, still, if we start redistributing territory, that's usually connected to conflicts and uprisings and even wars. And we have the gate of revolution here. So that's can be a possibility, although it's in the 6th line. So there might be no engagement, on the safe side. Okay, so let's look at the concrete gates of the new year. So we already looked at the 41st gate, but where this energy, because this is where it's the personality expression and life force of this year. It's always in the cross of the unexpected. So it's always something really new going on. Introspective, it's the first line. Investigative, starting from inexperience, going towards experience, which means from weakness going into strength. And all of this is being grounded and balanced in the 31st gate, the gate of influence. And it's in the first line, manifestation, influence cannot exist in a vacuum. Here we have the law of friction, whether active or passive, that engenders transference and thus influence. That's above the lines. And we have the detriment, the absorption of light, that in darkness can only promise manifestation, the unnatural expression of leadership. So this desire for new feelings will be grounded in the unnatural expression of leadership, which it is not necessarily, we have no moral in human design. There is no good or bad. So the detriments and the exaltations are just fixedness. It's being fixed. So when we look at leadership and leaders and political leaders, maybe also, and managerial leaders, influencers, this year the manifestation will be influential on one hand, because influence cannot exist in a vacuum, it has to shine, but the leadership will be absorbing the light. And in that darkness, there'll be a lot of promises for manifestation, a lot of promises for influence, a lot of promises for leading the way. It's part of the throat. So here we talk about I lead, and it's about direction. And it's about communication, manifestation, materialization, contact with the exterior world, outlet for energy and expression, speaking and doing. And this speaking and doing will be connected to empty promises and unnatural expression and leadership, more for the bad than for the good. Probably it's more the shadowy part of this hexagram this year. So be aware. Then all of this will be happening on the scenery and requisite on the stage of the nodes of the moon, which connect us to the bigger picture. Those are portals. Those are not planets. Those are points in space where the moon actually, or the orbit of the moon and the orbit of the sun around of the earth around the sun intersect, of the sun intersect. So those are portals which connect us to the bigger picture, and we get conditioning from the outside of our earth celestial solar system, our solar system. So we get from other stars conditioning here. If we talk about the sun earth, we have 70% of what is the energy gonna play out. And here we have the conditioning of the whole biverse or the whole universe. So the scene on which all of this is going to be played out, the first part of the year, the south node, the 44th gate, this is coming to meet the gate of alertness. The success of any interaction is based on the absence of any preconditions. So here we have coming to meet, it is the channel of the part of the channel of the entrepreneurial enterprise, a design of transmitter, where the channel of the surrender is connected to the instinctive memory and of seeing what is appealing to the tribe and delivering. Here is the management, the personnel of the management personnel. So the managing of the personnel, and it's coming to meet the other. And the 44th gate, it's part of the duality, the quadrant of duality. So it is about purpose through relationships. It's about the other, meeting the other. So the first part of the year, it will be a lot about meeting the right other in order to be successful. It's a projector channel. And not meeting the correct other and not being successful. So it's connected here. It's part of the stream of instinct. So it's about connecting to how things smell, actually. And if it smells like success, it might be. But you cannot really rely on that because it's an open center, so the energy will not be consistent. Still, it's the sense of smell, whether something smells like success or the opposite, starts to rot from the head down and smells really bad. So here we have also the fear from the past and for the past not to repeat. Being in the second line, the line of management, being a natural. So naturally managing personnel, or the opposite, the unnatural leadership, a management of personnel. And it's the development. Here we have the development and management of a proper collective structure, which restricts inferior elements by creating cooperative modes that integrates these forces with the progressive and superior forces. The possibility that alertness to patterns will result in management capability. Or the other side, a tendency in management to concentrate exclusively on goals, ignoring inferior elements, which leads inevitably to quantitative success and qualitative failure. The instinctive memory for the patterns that bypasses the development of managerial capability. So we see here the genetic imperative and continuation of leadership, influence, manifestation, but here we have the unnatural expression of leadership, reasonableness, reasonableness, excuse me, a tendency in understanding to assume capability leading to strain or coolness. So it's either hotness or coolness. And then we have management again. So both will be in the air. Either good managerial skills or the other side, not success, not leading to success, not being recognized and invited. It's again, I said, a projector channel. Waiting for recognition and invitation before acting. So a lot of waiting would be correct this year. And that's not how the not-self world will behave. It will be the opposite. Diving spontaneously into things under the pressure of adrenalized emotional energy, not waiting for clarity. And let's look at the 24th gate, which is the north node. So this will be the second part of the year. The setting, the scenery will be the gate of rationalization, the return. So a lot of thinking, a lot of rationalizing. It's here. We have it in the Ajna Center. So this is about conceptualizing. It's about sorry. It's about thoughts, answers, opinions, insights, ideas, conceptualizations, pretending to be certain, trying to convince everyone that you're certain in rationalizing thing. But this is an individual gate, so sometimes it will be a real truth and sometimes it will be just some bullshit. It's the natural and spontaneous process of transformation and renewal, or not. It's the 24th gate is about actually rationalizing those inspirations coming from the pressure of the 61st gate in the head center, and recognizing those inspirations, translating them by rationalizing them into language at the end here and expressing them as opinions. So it is about returning over and over again and thinking, pondering upon the unknowable sometimes, or the knowable, which is not worth knowing. So, or the knowable and what is really inspiring, what is really for us, our inner truth. Not wasting time on thoughts that don't matter. Because here we have either the cup full or the cup empty, and abundance of thoughts. There is only potential that the rationalized will be a true knowing, or not. It might not be. And of course, this can bring insanity if you overthink and over rationalize and trying to find an answer to unknowable things, like what is their life after death? Well, it's unknowable. But if you put your entire thinking process and energy into researching that, trying to find the unfindable answer before you're dead, probably, if you're even in some condition of consciousness, so you can observe, probably not, but let's say you can observe, so you can make a conclusion whether there is life or death. And there is no conclusion here. There is no logic. There is no looking at the past and drawing a pattern out of it. Here we have here and now, and it can be a lot of anxiety. It's a center of anxiety, the Ajna center. So that's what the second part of the year will be. And either in a natural way, the proper and spontaneous adaptation to new forms, the potential gift of conceptualizing spontaneously, or the vanity to see transformation as a personal achievement rather than a socially supported or natural phenomena. The mental vanity that the gift of conceptualizing spontaneously can produce. And this can be quite disturbing and confusing, and the open ajna is not here to really conceptualize, and it can totally bring you down the overthinking road, which is definitely not good. So a lot of thinking going on, a lot of rationalization, explanation, anxiety and fear of the past, the first part of the year, that we will get the same past. You saw we had a lot of fear about what happened in 2020 with the pandemic, and then the prices and going up, inflation going up all around the world, new war conflicts going on, which put the oil prices extremely up, the gas crisis, because of the war in Ukraine. So and also a fertilizer crisis, and being the granary of Europe, a lot of bread crisis. So fear of the past not to repeat. And the second part will be fear of the now, of what is happening, of whether you can rationalize or not the inspirations and the um, pressure to know. It being an individual gate, it can be also very melancholic, depressive, especially when there is no change, when there is no mutation going on. So this is the setting in which everything will go on. And the forecast of the year is not something you should actually be living out. Let's be clear on that. And that's exactly why I'm doing this forecast, is for you to be prepared to know what the forces out there are, which are going to be pressuring you to, and it's a potential for this balance to take you off your course, off your geometry. So being aware, especially if you have an open root center or an open emotional center, that this year definitely will put you under additional adrenalized pressure to hurry. So you have to be aware via your strategy and authority when is correct for you to hurry and when not. And most often this year, it will be incorrect. It will be pushing you. It will be pressure, adrenalized pressure, stress, worry, and again, potential for depression. And emotional roller coaster, nervousness, change of moods, feelings, desires, passion, romance, sexual drive, food, it will be all very important this year. And the forecast is about warning you. And it's not something to be lived out. It's something which is going to go on in the world in the background frequency. What you should live out is your own movie and not the agenda of the program. Although the program doesn't really have an agenda, it's just a spontaneous thing. It's not like it wants to punish us, or that it's the conditioning force is intentional in terms of having bad intentions. No. It's not like that. It's just a program. It's just a program. It's everything in nature is self-regulating. We see it's very exact. It's a science. It's math. It's interdependent. So, and it's perfect. That's what the program is, and it's conditioning us. And that's why we have human design, not to live out the program anymore. Those are finishing times. And that's why we have this knowledge, for us to be able to be correct and live out our own purpose, be able to center ourselves via strategy and authority, our personal strategy and authority, to our personal geometry and fractal line, to meet the forces which we're here to meet, and be able to fulfill your purpose. So the drive for the year, the mental for driving force, the focus, the mental focus is in the 90th gate, which is the gate of approach, the gate of wanting, that all things are interrelated is apparent and manifested through the action of approach. here in the first line, interdependence, the tendency once on approach in detriment is accepted to get stuck in continued reflection at the expense of continued development. The pressure for acceptance which fears eventual rejection. So another needy energy in the air, which is about wanting and being concentrated on having resources and having what you need to have your fridge full so that you are free of the pressure or thinking that you're going to be free of the pressure. Not necessarily, though. So a lot of neediness in the air, and since it's the driving force and the focus of the mind, on interdependence, how dependent we're with each other, and on resources, territorial, survival. Here we have also the theme, it's the first line. So it's about weakness and strongness, starting with always starting weak, going towards strength. A lot of investigation going on about the needs, about territory, and a lot of introspection at the expense of continued development and reflection. And maybe rejections. So it's a pressure for adrenaline, worry, and stress. So be aware. Then we have communication. Mercury is in thinking, is in the joyous, the gate of vitality. In the sixth line, carried away. So it's the pressure for correction here. It's a logical gate, part of the stream of taste, what you like and what not. Here we have the fear of authority on the other side. So here, carried away, when its basic intelligence is effectively stimulated, its natural desire for attunement will lead to it to identify so strongly with the stimulation that it is at risk of losing its identity, the energy which fuels loss of identity in times of stimulation. So, possibility for loss of identity, following those shadowy leaders with unnatural expression of leadership. And natural desire for attunement, which will lead to strong simulation. And that's what we're going to be talking about, stimulation after stimulation, risk of losing identity. And we mentioned the 49th gate, which is the gate of revolution, but also principles, mysticism, religion, belief, the same God or not. And we're going to be communicating about this as well, about being carried away and at risk of losing the identity. So the tribal, and we have two tribal here gates, and a whole tribal channel. So a lot of tribal energy, and it will be about submitting to the laws of the tribe. And if you don't submit, and if you don't agree, you can be expelled by the tribe. And also the different tribes fight between each other. So there is a possibility for some fighting going on. And talking about being carried away and losing the identity, maybe these will be fueling some of those conflicts so that you don't lose your identity. Like one of the biggest against arguments for globalization is losing the identity of the tribe. And this theme, it will be something we will be communicating about. But since it's the sixth line, it can be, it will be communicated only when seen as really necessary, as really beneficial, is really, if you're able to change something, to mutate something, to discover something or not, and staying disinvolved and not communicating it at all, or being dubious or being double faced about it. The sixth line can be quite not exactly on it. Like, it's not about honesty, but it's about being, it's about being confident or not. It's about being real. They're looking for perfection, the sixth line. So the exact other, the perfect other, the perfect job, the perfect thing. So they will not involve, they will not, it will not be communicated if they don't see the point of it. So some things will be kept silent and we will not know about. And because it's the detriment, we can get carried away, either with things we're saying or with the things we're not saying. Disengaging, being that word I cannot hypocrite, being a hypocrite. That's what the sixth line can be. Especially if you lose their confidence or their trust, they will communicate with you on the surface, but you will never be accepted deep again back. So there can be a lot of hypocrisy in the communication this year. Beware of bad leaders, hypocritical communication, neediness in the focus of the mind, the driving force, and all of this happening. I already discussed how, in what scenery, in what background frequency. So the next 49th gate, the gate of revolution, the gate of principles in values and relating Venus. Sixth line, again, we have again disengagement and again hypocrisy. When the revolution is not seen as needed, or if seen as needed, there can be a discovery and they can get off the roof and engage, but hardly. The power of revolution in action to expand its support. So ideally, the transformation of forms based on the highest principles and not simply for power. And that's our values. So it might be also simply for power. The power of revolution in action to expand its support. An innate impressionability that transforms the fence-sitter into the committed. So you can stay on the fence or suddenly become committed. The sensitivity and potential to embrace and transform others. If you see it as needed, the sixth line, the role model will be innocent about it, whether to engage or not. It will not engage if it doesn't really see it, really trust it, really think that it will make a difference. Be confident, confidante as well. Or the other side, stubborn and often fatal rejectionism, oversensitivity that leads to rejection of principles and others as a rule. So in our moral values, it can be a lot of rejection this year. Like, I reject you because you don't believe in my moral values, in my principles. This is a principle matter. And usually Venus is associated with something which makes us feel good. That's why it's about values and relating, and it's about being aesthetic and yeah. So here in this gate of rejection, the gate of the butcher, those values, we will get this good feeling out of actually standing for your values, standing for your principles. It's part of the emotional center. So the emotional center is the one which can stand on the pressure of the adrenalized energy and stand its position, stand its viewpoint, stand its clarity, its feeling. How does that feel? So the 49th, being a stubborn energy of attraction and the power of revolution in action to expand its support or not, depending on the moral values, how important they are to you, and whether it's really worth it. Only then the sixth line will engage. The Martian energy, which is the energy dynamics, the immature energy, great resource, which can be like a teenager exploding in untamed, not mature way to things, being extreme. So this extreme energy is in the gate of enthusiasm, the gate of skills in the fourth line, the leader. Again, we have the theme of leadership, and again in detriment. Genuine and sincere support and recognition of others, but in the demagogue line, the refusal, detriment, the refusal to support or recognize the talents of others. No recognition of talents, no recognition of what the other enthusiastically has to bring on the table. And it's part of the channel of talent. It's in the understanding circuit. So it's the channel of the wavelength design of talent, where repetition is a virtue because it makes you become a master from the apprentice. It's that connection between the master, the specialist, and the one who is now learning, and identifying with enthusiasm with their talent or not just draw, but be a painter, identify with it. So the gate of enthusiasm in the fourth line, the leader, will be maybe not so enthusiastic and put under judgment the talents, and it's also part of the stream of taste. So detesting not to its taste will be those leaders, and no genuine sincere support and recognition of others. This is also a projector channel. So it has to be invited and recognized. The talent has to be recognized. Otherwise, it's pushing. And Here we have it's part of the logic. So, and it has to be shared, this enthusiasm. So with coolness of the logic, we're looking for expressing the opinions and enthusiasm. And the logic is looking for proof. So there will be explosive, immature expression of and manifestation of things you think are truths, but maybe they're not. So we have here, since it's the understanding circuit, it's about patterns and focus. It makes a clear statement about the quality of talent being dependent on repetition, constant experimentation over and over, goaded by the critical capacity to find the perfect expression. We have here the voice of saying, I will express my music, dance, arts, and inherent capacity in the skills for talent of life and for living. So it's about also self-critical for not being depth enough and having enough skills, and basically this is not having enough energy maybe for experimentation. It's also an open center, so not really something which will be reliable, that will happen all the time, but a lot of demagogy going on here. And opinions, and this is where the law and protection is. In the gate of opinions, first line, openness, the energy to sustain a broad spectrum of stimuli, the possibility of having many opinions, and the other side, the tendency to limit openness to aesthetically pleasing stimuli, the possibility to limit options to what is pleasing. So again, we have repetition of the theme, not wanting um, to be open, but just to limit to aesthetic pleasant stimuli, like we had natural desire for attunement when its basic intelligence is effectively stimulated. So here we have openness or not, the gate of opinion, expressing that opinion in a logical way, coming up with some conclusions. So it's the energy will be connected, the energy of forming your opinion, following, knowing how to follow before you can even lead. We have the possibility of organizing formulas or not. And it's the understanding circuit which demands proof and opinions that have to have logical foundation to withstand testing and criticism. And the criticism already started here in the stream of taste and coming to the stream of understanding and visualization of what pattern is correct or not. This is the gate of the left eye, which never sees everything at once. Sorry, it's the right eye. Yeah. It is the eye that sees clearly in the now. It's the best for experimentation. And it looks for a fixed pattern and projects out of this pattern afterwards. And in the not self, it will be just trying to be certain, express its opinions, lots of opinions, talking, no manifestation, promises, bad leadership. So be aware, guys. And then we go to Saturn, which limits us. And it's in the gate of the clinging fire, the gate of feelings. Freedom recognized as an illusion and limitation accepted as a fate. In the first line, composure, so investigative, introspective, in the line of composure, balance in the face of disorder, the maximization of limitation in all cases, stability through feelings, no matter what the situation. So we're going to be limited in this when we don't follow strategy and authority. The fates will not have you balance in the face of disorder, will not have you maximize the limitation in all cases and reduce the losses. Saturn is here to kick you in the butt, to put you back on track, back on the right trajectory, get you to balance yourself again with strategy and authority. So the fates are going to limit us and to restrict us when we're not correct. At the same time, there is a possibility for maximizing of limitation in all cases, although this is where we're being limited. So that's nice. Then we have the Uranus, the unusualness, chaos, and innovation in the line of the genius. In the second gate, the receptive, the gate of direction of the self. Receptivity is the primal base through which any response is determined, the root of action. And we have here the unconscious and unlearnable alignment of stimulus and response, the natural. So in a natural or unnatural way, because it's always a duality, always we have both, we can either naturally know the direction, the right direction in which to move, what's the right way, what's the identity. And it's also the center of love. Spontaneous, natural love or not. Unconscious and unreliable alignment of stimuli and response, the natural. The inner strength to focus and realize, a natural gift for unlearnable knowing, or genius as madness, knowledge exclusively as power for the enhancement of the ego, the delusion that knowledge is power. Knowledge is not power unless we use it for the other. Otherwise, it can be analysis paralysis. So we have spontaneous unusualness for the right direction. And that can also bring chaos when we're not correct, or it can bring innovation and just that's the unusualness of this year, that it gives us, because the second gate is of the higher self, so it gives us the possibility to to be attuned to that higher self, and just naturally, it's in the second line, get the direction, or the opposite, not being natural in it. And the basically the higher self, it's important to remember that the self is unaware. It is a mechanical function of the vehicle, holding us together in the illusion of our separateness and giving us our direction. So here we have the potential to continue evolving, which finds expression and manifestation through the three other Sphinx gates, which are on the other side, the 7th, the 1st, and the 13th. But the gate of higher knowing, part of the knowing circuit, can also bring melancholy and depression if you're not on the right place, on the right spot, on the right time, with the right people. Then we move into the 36th gate, where Neptune is in the gate of darkening of the light, the gate of crisis. The rule of cycles in which decline is natural but not enduring stage. So it's going to be there for 2 years. The 36th gate, it will finish in 2025. So we're already there for some time, but there will be crisis, and it's part of the stream of feelings here. So we have almost the entire stream of looking for something new. And when you're doing something new, when you're trying something new, often there can be critical situations because you're going from a place of not knowing to a place of knowing. And being part of the 36th, being part of the channel of transcendence, the channel of transitoriness, the jack of all trades, it's about being there, done that. So nothing new under the sun at some point. But in the meantime, you keep on experiencing and sharing. It's part of the collective circuit. So it's sharing with the other your dreams and wants for new desires and cycles, new cycles, but at the end leading to crisis. But those crises will decline and they're natural, but they're not enduring. They will not last for long at the end. And Neptune, it's behind the veil, so it's somewhere we have to give up and completely let go of trying to control, because we don't even know what's going on. And we're going to find out about those crises when it's over, and that's in 2025. So be patient. It's also about, it's in the emotional center, so it's about clarity. And in the first line, resistance, we have here the energy and determination to persevere in the face of opposition, the emotional power to handle crisis. And the other side, an over-principled resistance that rather than being selective in resistance and thus less at risk, will maintain normal patterns and incur opposition. A resistance to change that will always bring crisis. Guys, change is here. Things are not going back to what they were. They never will. We are, after all, at the door of something new happening. And we just felt it with the new year. But we are also on the edge of a new cycle. One door is closing, another is opening. The cross of planning, which brought everything we built here, all the architectural structures, all the togetherness, all the tribal loving energy, planning enthusiastically, repeating and becoming masters and better at things is over. And we're getting into the new era, the year of the sleeping phoenix, where everything should burn down to ashes before it can be reborn. And maybe we are the witnesses of those burning fires, of those ashes, of the old collapsing, the systems and the big structures disintegrating. We are witnesses of the old transforming into the new. We do live in interesting times. And if we hold to our strategy and authority, to our differentiated individualness, we have the potential to live this unique, amazing life and play out our purpose, or be just a puppet on strings. Be in the crisis of Neptune. We don't even know what crisis that is. And first line in investigating that crisis, introspecting at that crisis. And then we have Pluto, truth, transformation, and psychology. And Pluto will bring the new mutation in 2025. It will move into the 41st gate, bringing into the world the new form, the rave. But now we're in the gate of limitation, in third line, trial and error. So here, mutation will either happen or not for the good or bad of humanity. It's the gate of acceptance as well. The acceptance of limitation is the first step in transcendence. And in the third line, that's conservatism, enlightened self-interest that naturally handles restrictions and limitations, ensuring identity and security. The energy to maintain identity and security despite limitations. And we will also be living the other side. The detriment, ego gratifying self-interest that ignores limitations and suffers predictably. Energy which ignores limitations and pays the price. So, embracing change and limitations is the way to step into the new global cycle of the sleeping phoenix, guys. This is what it is teaching us here, if we have the eyes to see. But watch your own movie with your own eyes, because that's the potential you have. That's the potential human design gives us with our own individual strategy and authority, because no outer authority is here to tell you. And me being an outer authority at this moment, I'm only looking at the transit field. I'm only looking at the weather. I'm only looking at what is going to push your buttons. And it's not something you have to live through. It's just a warning. Be aware. That's all I'm saying. That's all from me, guys. 2023 is here. The new rave cycle is here. Every year gives us the possibility to expand our consciousness, to learn new things, to have new experiences. And every year starts with the unexpected, the unknown, the new, and leading to progress and change with desire and passion for the new. I wish you a great year ahead, where you can unfold your authenticity, your colorfulness, and be correct for yourself. Be healthy, my friends, and meet the right forces on your fractal to do this emotional roller coaster, and to just pass through this, maybe wiser, but definitely prepared. I'll be happy if I was part of this preparedness, because, luck is where preparedness meets opportunity. Have a great year ahead. And I would love to be part of that year again. If I was part of last year, great. If not, like and subscribe. And I'll see you for more. Thank you for being with me. and I'll see you soon. This is Veronica from Human Design Journey. Bye bye for now. Ciao.